All right, as Carly just mentioned, it won't feel like it outside, even though it's February.
It's supposed to be like 40 degrees out there right now.
Yeah, but it's going to be warm.
Yeah, like middle 70s. And you may be feeling like, you know, the wind's been blowing, the dust has been blowing around here. Are your allergies starting earlier this year? Dr. Gautam Desai from Kansas City University is here to talk to us about our allergy symptoms. And boy, it just seems like it gets earlier and earlier every year. Do you think allergy season's already here, Dr. Desai?
Well, it's already begun. I think you guys reported on Monday that we had a record high temperature for over, the past century. So that's when the trees start being trees and releasing their pollen.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say, Kansas City, the region about allergies, talk about it compared to like maybe in the South. What's the difference and how bad can it get?
Yeah, so last year I think Wichita got #1 in the U.S. for being the best place for allergies, or the worst place for allergy sufferers, because of the plains, the trees, and just the weather. Right. So compared to other climates, they do a better job at making things that make you feel sick.
Have you seen that video before where there's like it's like a front loader taps the tree and the tree shakes and it releases all of this pollen that comes falling down? It just watching the video makes you want to sneeze just watching it.
I know, sometimes your eyes start to get itchy just looking at things.
Oh, it's just hard. So when you feel like that and you've got those symptoms, what can you do? What do you recommend we do?
So the mainstays are trying to get on top of it and getting ahead of the game. So when you know that the weather's getting warmer, maybe you start taking your antihistamines a little bit early. Some people use more than one product, so you can use nose sprays as well, and then ahead of time.
Yeah.
Pardon me, I've had a follow-up, if you don't mind. Sprays.
Yeah.
We're using them. Is it okay to use them year-round? Because it seems like I have to in order to keep the nasal passages open.
Yeah, so some of the sprays, like saline nasal spray, those are fine to use year-round, but they have some decongestant nasal sprays that you probably shouldn't use more than, for 3 to 5 days. And then the other ones that are steroid sprays, those are okay to use for a longer period too. But the saline one's probably your best bet.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, for those who have asthma, because you're kind of dealing with a double whammy there, asthma and allergies, and how to protect yourself. What does someone with asthma, how can they protect themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question, because anytime that you have inflammation in the upper airways, so in the nose or the throat, that can definitely cause a flare of the lower airways, which is where your lungs are. So you want to make sure you have a good handle on your allergy symptoms to avoid a flare of the asthma, because asthma is a much more severe disease and people still die of that every year.
And people are still having to figure out, is it allergies, is it COVID? What do we need to be looking for?
Yeah, so we just got back from Guatemala with 41 KCU students, and a lot of students there had the cough, the sore throat, stuffy nose, and those more resemble COVID. More resemble allergies, but if you get symptoms like a fever, if you're losing your sense of taste or smell, then you think more COVID, but there's a lot of overlap now because people that are immunized against COVID may just have mild symptoms.
Hey, before we get you out of here, we were chatting about some people use a neti pod to flush all that stuff out of there.
You had some advice and a tip that we need to keep in mind.
Yeah, there's one thing you need to know about the neti pod. Tell us, good doctor.
It's very good to make sure that you're using either water you've boiled and cooled yourself or using distilled water, because once in a while you can get this brain-eating amoeba that can affect you adversely. So you want to be very careful about that.
Yeah.
Is there anything more frightening than a brain-eating amoeba?
I don't know. I think it's getting bad seats to a Taylor Swift concert.
There you go. Dr. Desai, always a pleasure.
Answer.
My pleasure, Kristen.
Great to see you, Dr. Desai.